40 years ago, Uganda was thrust in the crosshairs after an Air France plane carrying largely Jewish passengers was hijacked by a Palestinian group on its way from Tel Aviv to Paris. President Idi Amin gave permission to the hijackers to land their aircraft at Entebbe airport, underpinning his hostility towards Israel by heeding a clarion call towards Palestinians' clamor for an independent state. In one of the quickest covert operations at Entebbe airport, where the hostages were being held, Israel commandos conducted a daring rescue mission. A story of mythical proportions, the Entebbe raid became fodder for blockbuster movies and books. Isaac Bakka was a chaplain and captain in the Ugandan army based at Entebbe airport when the raid took place. He told Entebbe that the first time they heard of a plane missing was during a BBC newscast. Bakka claims initially the hijackers planned to land the plane in Libya, but Colonel Muammar Gaddafi did not want to be sucked in a conflict with Israel. We could not independently verify this claim. It was now a matter of time before the Israelites could strike and end the siege.
We had the late Brigadier Gad Wilson Toko, who was then Uganda's ambassador in Lesotho. He had intercepted from diplomatic circles some information that Israel was planning to raid Entebbe to rescue its citizens. He could not keep quiet because he was a soldier. He was former commander of Uganda Air Force. He was our commander. He knew us very well. So he ran. So as you know, these were now on the higher senior level. We only waited to see vividly what would come out between the lines. What came up was that the ones who picked his message never took it to Amin on some other reasons. They kept it quiet.
A retired Israeli army officer who had ties to Idi Amin, Baralev, gave an insight into how the operation could be conducted. According to the Israeli newspaper Haaretz, which published a story 5 days ago, it claims that one of the riddles about the raid on Entebbe has been solved. An unsung hero, Yitzhak Gadish, provided one of the key blueprints for the raid to be successful, according to the newspaper. Gadish had spent much of the 1960s in Uganda, heading the international arm of engineering services, a large Israeli engineering firm, and became a friend of Idi Amin. Gadish was asked by the Ugandan government to tender for work on the redevelopment of Entebbe airport. The Ugandan Public Works Department gave him a set of plans. However, thinking he had no chance of winning the tender, Gadish tucked them away in his drawer and took them back to Israel when his time in Uganda was over in 1969. This became very vital during the attack.
I'm trained as a paratrooper in Israel, but I have got a very good brain, and even General Dayan knows that I am very good field officer.
You know Dayan very well?
I know him, and he has been my friend. He has been giving me dinner, luncheon in his house. If I go to Israel, I used to stay with Dayan. He brings Air Force pen, playing for me. We stay together.
Bakka claims the raid on Entebbe was supposed to coincide with Amin's arrival from Mauritius, a country he had visited.
In the arrangement, I think, they had also two agendas. You know, he now had no longer been their friend, and many countries in the world they had quarreled with, Britain, US, what. So all took advantage that if we can use that chance, even to grab him all together. So I think from that tactical view, they had planned to coincide with his landing and them, and the situation would be totally confused.
Flying low to the ground to avoid radar detection, the three Israeli planes landed as another remained circling the skies. The operation had begun. Bakka says the Ugandan army deliberately avoided direct confrontation with the commandos. By the end of the rescue mission, one of the commanders, Yoni Netanyahu, was shot dead.
These things happened. Some soldiers were on the top of the terminal building. They had set their guns up there. So when the infantry commanders, one Captain Cassiano Ariga from West Nile, and one Captain Yahaya, a young Muganda boy, they were deployed to command two platoons. Each had a platoon to command. The other side of the airport, the other one this side. So I heard him say, "Hold your fire, hold your fire." Then when he said, "Hold your fire," Captain Yahya said, let us let them take their men. It is not our war between them. Who knows? If we destroy these planes, it will provoke a very serious repercussion, because Israel will now send a retaliatory force, and are we prepared to handle?
Tomorrow, the plane carrying his brother, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, will touch down Entebbe Airport to mark a historic visit to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the rescue mission. A day after Israeli commandos carried out a successful rescue operation at Entebbe Airport, Idi Amin called a news conference right here at what was then called the International Conference Center. According to those present, senior government officials and high-ranking military officers attended. Amin praised his army officers for not directly engaging the Israeli commandos. However, on 9th July 1976, Uganda, through the chairperson of the Organization of African Unity, filed a formal complaint before the UN Security Council accusing Israel of acts of aggression on its sovereign territory. Emmanuel Mutaizibwa, NTV Weekend Edition.